Picture this, knights from different parts of the world, all thrown into a fantasy arena, armed to the teeth and ready for battle. Who would survive 24 hours in this brutal medieval showdown? Today, we're comparing knights from across history. From European crusaders to Japanese samurai, from the fearsome Mongol horsemen to the elite Mamluks of Egypt. We're talking armor, weapons, and survival tactics, and by the end, you'll know who would truly dominate the battlefield. It's knights versus samurai versus Mongols versus Mamluks in the ultimate survival showdown. Let's see who comes out on top. The European Crusader Knight. First up, we've got the European Crusader Knight. When you think of a knight, this is probably what comes to mind. Plate armor, a heavy shield, and the iconic longsword. These guys were like medieval tanks, slow but ridiculously well armored. Their plate armor could deflect most sword strikes, and they had the stamina to fight for hours, which would be key in surviving 24 hours in our fantasy arena. But here's the catch. While they were nearly invincible in a one-on-one sword fight, that heavy armor came with a major downside. They wear slow. Running? Forget it. If they're up against faster warriors, that lack of mobility could be a problem. The samurai from Japan. Next we have the samurai, the warrior class of Japan. Unlike the Crusader Knight, the samurai favored speed and precision. Their armor, made from leather and metal plates, was much lighter, giving them a serious mobility advantage. And then there's the katana, the legendary sword known for its sharpness and craftsmanship. In close combat, the samurai could deliver quick, deadly strikes, but they also had long-range skills, using bows for mounted archery. Speed and skill are their strengths, but the samurai's lighter armor means they don't have the same level of protection as a European knight. So in a straight-up duel, if they don't take the knight out quickly, things could get dicey. The Mongol horsemen. Now let's throw the Mongol horsemen into the mix. These guys are absolute beasts on horseback. They didn't rely on heavy armor. Instead, they used speed, agility, and range to dominate the battlefield. Their weapon of choice? The composite bow, which was incredibly powerful and accurate, even while riding at full gallop. The Mongols perfected hit-and-run tactics, which would give them a serious edge in our arena. While they might not be great in hand-to-hand combat, their ability to stay at a distance and keep moving makes them one of the hardest knights to catch. The European knight might struggle to even reach them before getting hit by a barrage of arrows. The Mamluk warrior from Egypt. Now let's talk about the Mamluks, the elite slave soldiers of Egypt. These guys were trained from childhood to be warriors, and they were experts in mounted combat. Their armor was lighter than the European knights but stronger than the samurais, striking a perfect balance between mobility and protection. Their primary weapon? The saber, a curved sword designed for fast, deadly slashes. The Mamluks were also known for their skill with the lance and their agility on horseback, making them incredibly versatile in battle. They could hold their own in a sword fight, but they also had the mobility to outmaneuver slower opponents like the European knights. Fantasy Arena Showdown. So let's drop all these knights into our fantasy arena and see who would come out on top. First up, the Crusader Knight might be the hardest to take down in a straight fight. His armor is nearly impenetrable, but against the Mongols' arrows and the Mamluks' agility, he's got some serious problems. The Mongol, meanwhile, could use hit-and-run tactics, raining arrows on the knight and samurai while staying out of reach. The samurai with his katana would dominate in close combat, but only if he can close the distance. The Mamluk, with his balanced armor and speed, would probably be the best all-around fighter, able to adapt to whatever comes his way. But the real challenge? Surviving the full 24 hours in this brutal arena. Who would survive 24 hours? So, who survives the full 24 hours? Well, it depends. The Crusader Knight could outlast everyone in terms of endurance, but his lack of speed could be his downfall. The Mongol horsemen could stay on the move, sniping from a distance, while the samurai and Mamluk would need to rely on their speed and skill to stay alive. But when it comes to a full day of fighting, my bet is on the Mamluk. He's got the right balance of speed, armor, and endurance to survive the full 24 hours. Who do you think would win in this medieval knight showdown? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more epic historical battles. See you in the next video.